This week on Arizona Illustrated, an artist in isolation.
Normally at this time I would be in New York City where the pandemic has broke out and is spreading exponentially day by day. So this is a nice little incubator to be in.
Bringing music back to life, one instrument at a time.
One day I fixed an accordion, a set of bagpipes, and a banjo all in one day. I think that violates the Geneva Convention.
And the Desert Laboratory on Tumamoc Hill.
Andrew Carnegie, when he started this facility in 1903, was focused on how desert plants make a living in such a harsh environment. And with the help of these 20 students, we began closing that gap of knowledge.
Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. The coronavirus pandemic has impacted every corner of the world. In one way or another, every human life has felt the effect of this new disease. For artist Matthew Cole, being an artist in residence at Tucson's Museum of Contemporary Art has brought with it some unexpected discoveries.
My practice requires a certain amount of solitude anyway. This is just a very extreme version of that. My name is Matthew Cole. I'm a painter based in New York City and Paris, France. The museum was business as usual when I first arrived. Come the second week here, the museum decided to close. So from there on, I've basically been here all alone in complete solitude. It's really just me and the museum. There's a lot of time to reflect and focus and just not really be bothered by daily distractions. It's a little eerie. I have to pinch myself from time to time to remind myself this is reality. So it's a pretty long, deep conversation with myself, I'd say. The work I'm making is really just in response to what's happening. It's fired me up in a way that it's made me feel empowered to use my paintings as an artistic weapon, and without it, I don't think I'd be able to get through the day. For me, if I don't get started right away, if I think about it too much, I will procrastinate. So I tend to tell myself to just leave my brain at the door when it's time to get started and just be mechanical and just get to it. Otherwise, too much thought goes into it and I might not start at all in the first place. So I tend to just, from those early hours in the morning, I think with my hands. Normally at this time I would be in New York City where the pandemic has broke out and is, spreading exponentially day by day. So this is a nice little incubator to be in. Most of my art is primarily rooted in personal experiences, and I like to create them within the framework of work that's been made before me. And hopefully in a context in which many other people can relate to. Which is why I think it was so important to switch the focus of the paintings I'm making now to something that everybody can relate to right now. It seemed pointless to make a personal project while this whole event was taking place in the world. And so it's forced me to hunker down and have tunnel vision and just make work that I normally would not make. I think has been one of the greatest pros of this situation, in that it's kind of allowed me to step out of my own body and comfort zone for a while and see what happens. So I feel totally free, in a way, to just make the best work possible in response to what's going on.
The art world has not been immune to COVID-19 as it continues to find new ways to embrace creative expression. AZPM producer Vanessa Barchfield spoke with MOCA's interim director and curator Laura Copelin about how she sees this new circumstance. As a point of disclosure, Laura Copelin is married to AZPM producer David Fenster.
Like many other businesses and museums and nonprofits, just out of public safety, we've had to close our doors. And being open to the public is our reason for existing, being a space where people can come together, where they can learn, where they can connect, where we can teach each other. It's been difficult, to navigate this situation, but we're just trying to focus on providing as many creative resources to the community for free as possible right now, and honoring the work of the artists that shows got cut short by the coronavirus closures.
Has this had much of an impact on your budget so far?
We were one of many organizations, I think, across the country whose gala, which is our major fundraising event that helps sustain us for, about a year to 2 years at a time, was canceled. So our gala was supposed to occur on April 18th. And it was our local Genius Awards, which are always really fun and beloved. And we had an amazing slate of geniuses that we wanted to honor. But unfortunately, we just couldn't gather at that time safely. So what we're going to do is we're going to honor this same slate of geniuses next year because they really deserve to be celebrated fully.
What's your message to artists and art lovers right now?
I would say that, just stick with us. We need art now more than ever. We need artists now more than ever. Artists need support now more than ever. I think that's one thing that I'm hoping that MOCA can contribute in this moment, even though it's quite a struggle for our organization and so many others. I think that we're going to need to make sense of what's going on now, of our disconnection, of the huge inequalities that are just highlighted and underscored again. Artists are the people that help us interpret these things in ways that we don't expect. And I think right now we need creativity, creative thinking, inspiration, beauty. We need all of these things just to survive as humans. We've made art through our entire human history. So I think right now is no exception to that.
Laura, thank you so much for your time today, and best of luck to you guys at MOCA.
Thank you.
And now we'd like to bring you up to speed on something that's happening here at the University of Arizona. As part of a statewide initiative, the university has started analyzing blood samples from thousands of Arizonans to determine who has developed antibodies against the virus that causes COVID-19.
Pretty good, how you doing?
The first phase of testing included Pima County healthcare workers and first responders. Through separate funding, 1,500 members of the general public in Pima County, including University of Arizona students, are also being tested to provide a measure of comparison to the healthcare worker and first responder groups. Throughout May, testing will expand across the state to healthcare worker and first responder groups. To find out more about the COVID-19 antibody testing, go to covid19antibodytesting.arizona.edu. If you've lived in Tucson long enough, you know about Bookmans. But beyond books, games, and records, the iconic recycler also sells and repairs used instruments. Their team of expert craftsmen have worked on everything from dulcimers to sitars and more. Here's a look behind the curtain.
I've been repairing instruments for a little over 30 years now. When I started here 5 years ago, our output was about 5 instruments a week. Now we have 6 people and we're probably repairing close to 250 instruments a week. I'm working on a customer's accordion. Despite all the jokes about accordions, they're still pretty popular and they're very mechanical. This one got left in a car in the summer. There's only maybe 5 or 6 people in the country and Canada that repair free reed instruments like the accordion. The instruments that come in from Africa or the Middle East, I won't even know what they are, but I know how they work. I know what they're supposed to do just by drawing parallels with the instruments we do fix. And so we have fixed things and sent them back to, other countries without even knowing what they're called. One day I fixed an accordion, a set of bagpipes, and a banjo all in one day. I think that violates the Geneva Convention, but it was fun to do nevertheless.
The unbleached bone is pretty gnarly when you're sanding it. It has an almost indescribably awful sweetish smell. Hey James, where does all that bone come from that we use?
It's water buffalo bone.
Oh, it's water buffalo bone. They're like really hard substance, so they give you a really good resonance. You can take away material, but you can't put it back. So if you cut too deep, you have to start all over again. And the first 10 to 12 ones that I made, I had to start all over again. A lot of cussing going on with that.
Probably one of my favorite things to work on would be these devices. There's like little internal batteries that will help store the memory. So over 10 years they would go bad and you would have to replace them and then reload the patches, and it's a pretty easy process, but if the battery itself is soldered into the board, then you got to take everything out and then desolder it and then reinstall it, but it's absolutely worth it. Something about the way these things were designed and made that have a particular sound to it that is just nostalgic. I don't know, I've always been, a musician just growing up playing guitar and drums and stuff in bands. But as far as electronic music goes, just listening to records, Brian Eno's a pretty big influence.
This is a lute, and right now I'm kind of just taking off this bottom panel because we're going to trace this and create a new piece for the bottom. But I'm just kind of fixing it up. I'm going to be repairing a crack through the bottom of it. And then in a little bit, I'm going to be creating custom pegs for the top of it. because some pigs are broken. Resurrecting the dead instruments it's really cool. And to be the first female in this department to do it is really awesome. It's definitely cool to think of like all of the hands that they've passed through, you know, all the things that these instruments have seen. The little banjo-lele I was working on earlier is over 100 years old. Yeah. So when you get it right, it's like, yes, that feels good.
Needs a little work.
We've been able to kind of create a really awesome online store.
Most of my time has gone into developing that, and it's starting to run very smoothly.
I mean, it's kind of become this cool renaissance. Like the silver lining in it is everybody's just kind of been forced to create.
Lo and behold, people are home, bored out of their minds while they're under a stay-at-home order, and they want something to tinker with, a guitar to fix up, a guitar pedal, or a mixing board to work on. And so it's been really neat to see the response. It's been overwhelming. Cindy and I can't keep up with the packing.
I'm seeing people on my social media that have never been able to really represent themselves creatively, and they're like showing off pieces of art or showing off cool music that they've created. I've written several songs in the last 6 weeks on different instruments, and so it's really cool to see the creativity that's coming from this tragedy.
Best I could do with a mask on.
That was really good.
All right.
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share stories from this and previous episodes. And like us on Facebook, where you can watch stories, comment, and share your own story ideas. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we share photos and links about the show and what's happening in our community.
Tumamoc Hill, just west of downtown Tucson, has become a popular destination for those seeking an invigorating walk in a serene desert setting. Due to the large number of people who gather there, the hill was closed March 18th due to concerns over the spread of the coronavirus. What visitors may not know is how much scientific research goes on there. Before the shutdown, producer Tony Paniagua paid a visit to the University of Arizona's Scientific Research Center that dates back more than a century. Now, a new generation of young scientists are studying Tumamoc's plants and animals.
Tumamoc is a really important place for the community of Tucson to connect with nature in a way, while they're getting some exercise. But this is also an 860-acre nature preserve managed by the university and Pima County. As part of that, we preserve native vegetation communities and wildlife communities here.
The Desert Laboratory is a thriving, living laboratory in the heart of the city, right on the edge of downtown Tucson, on the edge of the Santa Cruz River, that has hundreds of years, well, really over 4,000 years of cultural history of people, close relationship with the space. And then more recently, for the last 115 years, it is a long-term science center.
One of our missions up here on the Hill is to actively engage the public and the University of Arizona and U of A students in research. So we had a program funded by the Green Fund on campus, which is a campus sustainability fund, and we trained about 20 students in field methods and wildlife research, and also in plant phenology, to give U of A students an opportunity to do experiential education, real hands-on stuff, monitoring wildlife.
My name is Alberto Rolla. I'm a former student researcher up here for Tumamoc Hill. I just recently graduated from the University of Arizona with a bachelor's in wildlife conservation management and a focus in natural resources. So I've been a research technician assistant for Dr. Aaron Flesh up here for, well, I was before I graduated for about 2 years. So during his work, he brought up this project that he would like for me to be a part of.
There's 2 mule deer sparring, just young males kind of practicing.
And I was really, really excited just because, well, one, mammals are my specialty, and I really enjoy working with them. And just, it just gave me this leadership opportunity for me to be able to grow.
My name is Jacob Brown. I'm a junior studying in the School of Natural Resources and the Environment at the University of Arizona. My focus is on plants for the most part. The program lasted for about 8 months, and it involved, at least for me, being on the phenology team, looking at 21 different individual plants 2 times a week for 8 months. Checking for flowers or flower buds, and fruit, and just different interspecies interactions.
One of the things that's really exciting is that while, as we walk the hill, we may casually glance at the deer or understand or see the roadrunner, or maybe see a bobcat if we're really lucky. This data being collected by the students really gives us a much more holistic and robust picture of the species that are here, those that may not be. So absence is actually important, but if we're not detecting a species, then that gives us, we have a large network of cameras. And then and in addition to that, we're starting to get some understanding of their distributional patterns and even some sense of abundances.
As the city grows and as Tucson residents have less of an opportunity to connect with nature, Tumamoc's value really increases because we have 860 acres of native wild desert right here in our backyards, and it's a really important resource.
I think it's the best place to come here. That's why, because most places there's cars coming, and that place it's safe and you can walk and nobody bother you. Yeah, I like, that's why every time I'm coming here. And yeah, that's why I'm bringing my camera and take nice pictures.
This is my first time here. We didn't see many animals, but definitely a lot of birds, and admiring the plants and the flowers and the cactus. So it was very beautiful up here.
Growing up in the Northwest, I don't think I really appreciated the outdoors. And I mean, while I was there, you're in work and school and you kind of get into a routine. But when we moved down here, I think we definitely kind of appreciated the natural beauty and the available things that we had so close to home.
We just haven't had scientists that focus and specialize on vertebrates here on the Hill. Andrew Carnegie, when he started this facility in 1903, was focused on how desert plants make a living in such a harsh environment. And with the help of these 20 students, we began closing that gap of knowledge. There's still lots of work to be done, don't get me wrong. We just scratched the surface, but we do have really good species lists now for lizards, for birds, and for medium and large mammals now, following the Green Fund project.
I'm passionate about this because it's generally something that right now needs a lot of help, whether it be like studying into endangered species or studying into how to better manage areas that perhaps haven't been treated very nicely by humans throughout the years. It's just something that when I discovered like the plight of the conservation movement and whatnot was really appealing to me that I wanted to take a part of.
It's a 3-mile trip. It's a good workout. And when I was working here, I really tried to do it as fast as possible just for fun. So I would be taking my study notes on the plants and then sprinting to the next plant. It was a good time.
Tumamoc Hill is currently closed to the public. To learn more about the Desert Laboratory and updates on when the hill may reopen, visit tumamoc.arizona.edu. Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Here's a sneak peek at a story we're working on.
My name is Kenzie Wells. I am a third year in the Masters of Fine Arts program here at the University of Arizona. And my thesis show for graduation that I've been working on this entire year has been questionably canceled.
I thought this was going to be a pretty great show. And so I was really excited to get going on installing it this week.
There's a reset of expectations that have had to happen on a really massive scale. And that's not, it's not just with the art students, it's not just with the university. I mean, this is something national and global.
I'm Tom McNamara. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.